Hey, this is Ryan of Happy Healthy Vegan. So big shout out to my moderator Peter for suggesting I check out this video from Alex O'Connor, formerly known as Cosmic Skeptic. Anyway, he made a video recently telling how he's convinced that veganism just won't work. Like, what the hell do you mean? It's been working out pretty fine for me since I went vegan in 2010, started our YouTube channel in 2013. Nothing wrong. But let's see what he says. We'll hear him out. And, you know, I've heard him speak on topics other than veganism, like his atheism stuff, and he seems quite intelligent. I mean, he's obviously a smart guy, but he knows how to reason very well, puts forth cogent arguments, but he always seems to get it fucked up when it comes to veganism. So let's see what he fucked up this time. So anyway, we're going to just cut to the chase on this long podcast. We're going to start with this discussion he's having about factory farming.
But the current practices of factory farming are sort of beyond the pale.
So what do you think is a solution for that practice of farming?
Well,
is there one? Is it even possible to humanely breed and raise animals for farming?
So even though that guy ain't Alex, it's really telling how he's stumbling on his words, like the possibility of humanely breeding and he thought he was going to say like kill or slaughter. No, raise. Like, you left out the most horrific part. But anyway, let's continue.
I used to be a vegan, and I used to think that the solution to this was just to not eat the products, to not pay for the products. It's essentially a boycott.
Were you really vegan, Alex? I'll take your word for it. I'm not the vegan police or anything, but he's saying, yeah, factory farming's horrible, and I agree. I mean, you're not going to get any pushback from me on that. But he said the solution to factory farming is being vegan. Well, let's look at the definition of veganism. It's not a stance against factory farming. It's a stance against all forms of animal cruelty and exploitation. So yeah, that would include factory farming. That would also include like grass-fed, pasture, free-range animals as well. All animal cruelty and exploitation. Because you do realize, I hope, Alex, that all these animals end up getting slaughtered so you could have a steak or bacon.
Boycotts work. At least sometimes. Boycotts can be effective.
I see what he's saying, but I don't really see being vegan as some kind of boycott. It's like maybe a secondary or tertiary property of veganism. Again, the primary reason why a person is vegan is because you're against animal cruelty and exploitation. And there are many good things that follow from that. Yeah, one is you're not giving money to the animal cruelty industries. You're doing things that are good for the environment. And if you eat in a healthy way, you can improve your health and reverse certain medical conditions. But yeah, let's move on. Though.
For a time, veganism was really beginning to take off. It seemed like it was really changing the world, and you become really convinced that the world one day will actually be vegan, that morality will catch up on the world, and in the same way that all kind of other injustices like human slavery are abolished, the same thing will happen with animal exploitation.
So if there's any hardcore Alex stands watching and you think I totally got this next ramble of mine wrong, comment down below, but I'll show more of what he's saying about veganism being some kind of worldwide movement to end animal, or at least factory farming, and maybe animal cruelty and exploitation too. I'm not sure how far he wants to push it. The whole world's going to somehow be vegan, and this is a beautiful thought, and I would love to see that. I'm not knocking him for that. I've never said on I've made over 2,000 videos now since we started our channel. I've never made a video saying, yeah, the world shall be vegan someday soon in our lifetime. And that's what is necessary for veganism to be true and successful or anything like that. But I think he's going to hold this against veganism, that it needs to be an all world thing or it's a failure. Let's see if I'm right. Let's continue on.
I'm just not convinced that's going to work anymore. And I don't think that people will stop eating animals.
So he's not convinced that will work anymore. So he really thought that the world going vegan, or at least a huge percentage of it going vegan, is something that was going to happen. It was going to happen soon, like in our lifetimes. And it was something that was like somehow necessary for veganism to be true or valid. Like, again, if I'm misunderstanding Alex, I'm not creating a straw man, but like, what in the F are you talking about, man? I mean, it's, again, a beautiful idea, but we don't need the whole world to be in agreement for any one individual person to understand that animal cruelty and exploitation are wrong. And instead of just stopping with that belief, actually doing something, putting a practice into our life of not participating, not purchasing, consuming animal products. But anyway, let's see what else he says.
And I don't think that it's wrong in the way that I used to in principle.
All right, so you think animal cruelty and exploitation, or at least factory farming, I'm not sure which he meant by it. Veganism or factory farming seems to get them interchanged, synonymous with each other. But anyway, whatever it is, he's okay with it now somehow, it sounds like.
Because you sort of, the big end of the funnel when it comes to veganism is factory farming footage.
No, as a vegan activist, you absolutely do not have to show people factory farming footage. I don't do that on my channel. And again, I've made over 2,000 videos. There's not one way that all vegan activists have to behave in order to be a successful vegan activist.
You know, you show people, I talk just how I've spoken to you now about these abominable practices. And so you say, okay, I want to do something about this. And then maybe you become a vegan. And then there's a lot of debate about, well, what if we kill the animals in a different way? What if I've got backyard chicken farming? And there's a big discussion. Like, what if I've got chickens in my back garden? You know, what if I eat their eggs? Can that be a problem?
I'm not sure why he's bringing this up. Like, it's like bringing up bivalves. Is it okay for a vegan to eat bivalves? Is it okay for a vegan to eat backyard chicken eggs? My response is, why even bother? It's not like if you don't eat bivalves or chicken eggs, you're going to become nutrient deficient and sick or something like that. I haven't had either of those in 14 and a half years, and you can check out my blood labs. They're doing just fine. And I'm not a freak of nature. You can look at the opinions of health organizations from around the world, and none of them are saying that if you're vegan, you're going to get sick unless you sometimes have some bivalves or chicken eggs. Just leave all that alone and just eat plants. It's so simple. I don't know why people have to make it more confusing than it is.
And people will still say, well, okay, they've still been selectively bred to lay more eggs than they would naturally, which often gives them a calcium deficiency, which leads to things like osteoporosis in chickens, which is bad, but it's nowhere near as bad. Or as as much of an emergency as factory farming.
Yes, factory farming is bad. It's horrific. But as Alex so eloquently described there's some pretty bad stuff going on with chicken breeding too. Both are forms of animal cruelty and exploitation. Yes, one seems objectively worse than the other, but it's still on a continuum, a spectrum of animal cruelty and exploitation. It doesn't follow that if you're against animal cruelty and exploitation, just eat the animals that haven't been exploited as much. Just don't consume animal products, because if you are truly against animal cruelty and exploitation, you will have no choice other than to consume non-animal products. It's super easy, Alex.
Right. And so suddenly you're having these much more sort of nuanced debates about animal ethics, about what you have the right to do, because you've first you've gotten through the door with the obvious stuff. The first thing we need to do is convince people of the obvious stuff. This is inexcusable. There's no excuse for the way that we are sort of treating pigs in factory farms at the moment. There's simply no excuse. If this is the only way to produce bacon to the extent that we currently eat it, then eat less.
No, that's the wrong answer, Alex. If you're truly against the horrific conditions in factory farms, the way they gas pigs in your country, the answer isn't to eat less bacon. The answer is to eat no bacon. Don't support that horrific, cruel industry in any way, shape, or form. So is he saying it's okay to gas these pigs as long as there's just a smaller number of them being killed? Like, that's okay?
Right, it's just not even close. It makes a parody of ethics.
This belief that it's okay to kill fewer pigs is a parody of ethics.
The solution, I think, needs to be something like what happened with the environmentalist movement.
All right, Alex, please share with us your grand solution for humankind's way to end animal cruelty and exploitation, or at least factory farming. Let's have them solve it all for us right now.
You remember sort of 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, everybody's saying, make sure you switch off your lights, make sure you don't leave the tap running, because if you leave that running for a year, it can fill up an Olympic-sized swimming pool. And so you're sort of doing your little bit. And then people begin to realize, actually, that's not really solving the problem. What we need to do is we need to go and like lobby Shell to stop whatever the hell it is that Shell do. We need to stop governments from investing in fuel licenses. We need to get universities to divest their investments in fossil fuel industries, for example. It's much more now about protesting authority and trying to make systematic change happening from the top down. And now the idea of the environmentalist, whose principal focus is trying to convince people to remember to turn their lights off, kind of seems almost a bit silly. It's like, really, like that's going to solve the problem? Well, maybe, yeah, sure. If everybody did that, maybe we'd have less of a problem. But the way to do this is clearly systematic top-down change. And I think the same thing maybe needs to happen with veganism. I'm not entirely sure about this. I'm open to be convinced either way. But I think that whereas people might have said, we just need to stop eating these products, maybe it's now actually, no, let's go and lobby the government to make this a criminal offense.
So remember, this was supposed to be Alex's great solution that he's gifting to the world and how to solve the problem of factory farming and or animal cruelty and exploitation. Like I said, it's a beautiful idea, this unity of the world's governments and everyone come together and with their morality. But, in the real world practicality viewpoint, I really don't think this is going to happen anytime soon. I mean, you can comment down below if you think I'm wrong. I'm just, just being practical here. And what he's given here is a more beautiful, kind of academic, perfect solution. It's kind of a nirvana fallacy. Like, here's the problem, factory farming, animal cruelty. Here's my solution. We have to get the whole world and the governments unified. And if we can't do that, why even bother going vegan then? It's a complete waste of time for everybody. And it's not. It does something for me because I couldn't live with myself knowing, I'm eating an animal that was once alive when I didn't have to, because no matter, like I said, if the animal is raised in this perfect grass-fed setting, it's still being slaughtered at the end. There's no way to humanely kill an animal. Please don't try to argue for that. If so, you'd have to agree that there's humane ways to kill a human being who doesn't want to die to be your dinner or breakfast or anything like that. So anyway, guys, leave your questions and comments down below. Let me know what you thought about this video of Alex's. Did I get his position right? I think I did. And let me know what you thought about his excuses here. Like, okay, just gas fewer pigs and it should be okay then. Or, anyway, let me know down below. Hit like, share this video. And if you thought everything I said was wrong, I totally misunderstood Alex, or if you're watching Alex, feel free to come by to my Friday live streams, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and be civil and we can maybe have a conversation. So I'll see you guys then on Friday. Remember, doesn't suck being vegan.